at KATSU crazysharp. Lots of stuff going on. Had to kid the trolley and stuff. But I stopped by my buddy Tino's house. You guys know. You saw Tino in the video we did about his massive knife collection. 60K plus. Like, that was just what you guys saw. There's much more to it. So I thought that this would be fun. I stopped by his place because I was out and about, had some errands to run, and I thought this would be fun. And so if you're here, please let me know if the audio is janky or not. And yes, I know I'm wearing the old hat, but unfortunately, the new hat is not comfortable. I'm very disappointed. We'll go with all messages. So yeah, BenchMade has completely lost the plot. I stopped by my buddy Tino's place. I picked up a handful of his BenchMades because I saw some stuff going on. I saw there was someone here, and then they left. So if you're here, let me know how the audio is. If the audio is not right, I have a quick fix for the wireless microphones. Hopefully it's working right because my indicator on the receiver looks like it's working fine. So, sounds good. All right, Joe, cool. So I was looking at some stuff on Maya Haruno. BenchMade has absolutely just lost their ever-loving minds. I saw some pricing on some stuff, and I could not believe what I saw. It was absolutely insane. And I'm like, that just can't be right. And we're in the house here because, well, Pupper's over here. You can't see him. Chuck, come here. Come here. Come here. Get up. Come here. They want to see you. Come here. You may lose the audio. It doesn't take much to screw up this audio. Hey, up here. Come here. What are you looking at me like that for? What are you looking at me like that for? So at any rate, I don't want to be out in the studio. And luckily, San Diego has transitioned from shorts and Hawaiian shirts to sweatshirts, back to shorts and Hawaiian shirts, now back to sweatshirts, which is my favorite time of the year because it means I have an extra pocket to carry stuff in. Hey, bud. So at any rate, this is what got my attention. I had forgotten about this, but me and my buddy Tino were talking about the BenchMade 710, which I have to admit is a nice looking knife. It's an overall really nice design. It's a McHenry Williams design. Lots of BenchMades were done by McHenry Williams for a while. They had some really cool designs. They also had Lee Perrin. They had some other designers. What are you doing behind me? They had some other designers. You can hear a squeaky toy. They had some other designers that worked with them that really did some cool designs, including Osborne, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But the insanity goes, buddy, are you vying for attention? Okay, yeah, I gotcha. The BenchMade 710 at release was a good knife. I can't remember, it was the first knife that had, oh jeez, Chunk, he's pushing me. He's well over 100 pounds at this point, and there's 26 of you guys. Please drop a like. All you can do is double tap the screen while you're watching it. So this was a really nice design, and I have to admit, I liked the 710. I never owned one, but I knew a lot of guys that had them, and it was always a nice knife. Now this is kind of special. I believe that this is a first production run. I can't remember. Cool. Gaming and dirt bikes. This is not a first production run, but this is an older BenchMade 9. Come on, bud. You're pushing me up. Get up. Move. There you go. There you go. You got to scoot. So I'm not playing. BenchMade had some really nice designs. He's trying to distract me intentionally. Anyway, so they had some really good designs. So this was one that came, okay, enough. Find a quiet toy. It's my dog. He's sitting right next to me. So the 710 came out in, let me see, when did this chunk, no, back, bud, back. 710 came out, I was looking this all up, and forgive me, the prices may vary a little in the historical data. What may I assist you? How may I assist you? I just took a shower, I do not need help. Could I get a towel with that? What? With this is becoming problematic. He's massive. He's huge. Now he's in front of me. You guys can see his tail right here. At any rate, so I was looking it up on ChatGPT, and ChatGPT is a good tool, but sometimes you need to verify, but I needed to do it quickly. So the BenchMade 710 released in 1999 was when this knife came out, right? Now, I do know inflation and things like that. However, the price increase on this has just went beyond the pale. So this knife currently is $600 at most vendors. You can pick it up some places for $550, $600, and that's what I had seen, and I just kind of verified. And this is a half and half, which is partially serrated. So the problem with this is not a $600 knife. At launch, where did I put my notebook? I wrote down launch prices of these knives. At launch, this knife cost, at launch, $110. Now granted, 1999 prices, yes. There's going to be some, there's definitely going to be some inflation. And I get upset when people come on here and like, oh, well, their knives were great until they started raising their prices. And I'm like, yeah, but you got to remember, price of gas has gone up, price of materials have gone up, a lot of increases in price, right? And people will say that a lot. And we're going to circle back around on that. So people will say, oh, yeah, well, you know, inflation. But then companies like Chris Reeve Knives with the Sebenza, which I have one, but I don't have it out here, their knives stayed pretty much stable at around the $375 to $450 range for a long time, unless you were getting something special. They're an American-made company, no problem. This is a $600 knife now, and it's not that good. The new ones are not as good as the old ones. These are not anywhere near as good as the old ones. This one is. This is an original. This is one of the old school ones, and it's got a carbon fiber pocket clip and stuff. So, and I don't think it's actually all carbon. It is. It's 100% carbon fiber pocket clip. We're not doing politics on this channel. We get enough politics everywhere else. We don't need that. This is not a bad knife at all. It's not. It's not a bad knife. There's not a spider behind me, Banjo. There's not. So this is not a bad knife, but it is not a good knife at $600, right? $600, I'm going to show you something right now. This American company, now this is not the new version that is $600. It's not as good. The new one's not as good as this one. $110 for this knife at launch. $600. It's not Chinese parts. It is American made, Bernard. It is 100% American made. I do have to agree on that one. However, another American company, and these two are American made. This one's made in Japan, Seki City, Japan. For $600, you could almost buy all three of these knives at $600. I think each of these are like 200. I think these are 180, 190, something like that. New Vision, not happening. So, you know, you're in the same realm when you look at this. These are American made. These two, Golden, Colorado. This one's Seki City, Japan. Not made in China, if that's an issue for some people. You could buy almost 3 Spydercos for the price that you're going to pay for one BenchMade in a lot of cases. The problem I have is BenchMades aren't good. This knife has a little bit of blade play, which happens in axis locks. But this is an older school axis lock, and this is an older school BenchMade. It's a little bit tighter. But $600 for the new version of this knife which, as I said, is nowhere near as good. Here he comes again. I gotta make room for the dog. You gotta, bud, please. You gotta go. Hey, move, go, please, bud, go lay down somewhere. Sorry, he's all excited because I was gone all morning. Look, he just wants to be right here. You're going to stop. Go. Either climb up and sit, or go. It's worse than a $12. So, the 12-year-old, worse than a toddler, I mean. So, Benchmade knives have just increased to the price to where they're just, I don't understand why people still buy them. I'm in the house. I wear slides in the house. It's because I was in Japan for 13 years. You always wore sandals in the house. It's just a thing. So I have a pair of slides that I wear in the house and in the studio. And with the dog, it saves your socks from getting filthy because he's in and out and tracks stuff in and out. So, at any rate, there's some other Benchmade models that I wanted to look at here. 940, right? The 940, which is not a very good knife. This is my 940. This one is a first production run 940. Right? And I hate serrations, so it makes it even worse. This is not a good knife. Now this one is better than mine. It's a little thinner behind the edge. But this is first production run. When it released for first production, this knife was $175 at release, which is still more than I'm willing to pay for a Benchmade 940, because in my opinion, it's just not that good of a knife. Now, mine has been modified. It used to be the green, you know, the typical green and purple. I didn't like that, so I modified mine and put a ceramic coating on the aluminum. But mine has an S90V blade in it. Do you know what an S90V, now today, for an S30V Benchmade 940, as seen here, forget that it's a first production run and all that other crap that makes it a little bit more valuable. $175, right? $175 for this knife. To buy an S90V version today, like mine, like I said, $230 for that version today. $350 for what I have in my hand, which is S90V. Now, technically, I put an S90V blade in mine, but this is not a good knife. It's too thick. It's just, they are capitalizing on their name. It's too thick. It's too thick behind the edge. It's not comfortable to cut heavy-duty cutting. It's just not. It doesn't do any of it wants to be a heavy-duty knife, but it also wants to be a heavy-duty knife, but it also wants to be a compact EDC. And it does not do a good job at either. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's not great. No, I do not have any 6-inch switchblades. Not here. I brought some stuff in, but I don't have any switchblades here. Chicagoland. And somebody's talking about integrals. The Anthem. The Anthem, I don't have one, but the Anthem was a very nice knife, but it was not worth the $700 they were charging for it. If you were, I think they were more expensive. I think my buddy paid $400 for it because he was law enforcement. They were $700 when the Anthem released. This is a better integral. We're not talking about, I'm sorry, we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about Benchmades. I don't have any of those. This is the OAO. This is a much better integral than the Anthem. Way better. It's lighter. It's better. It is a really, really nice knife. This kicks the shit out of the Anthem. The bug out, way overpriced. And I don't have an option for you. There's an American option that you can get from Hogue for the Benchmade bug out. Let's see here, let me ask. How much does the Benchmade bug out cost? Because I have an under $60 option. And if you guys are here, 139 of you, please drop a like. It's searching. Benchmade bug out, $210 to $400 for a Benchmade bug out. And they're trash. They are not a good knife. If you want an option, the Hogue Deca, or if you don't mind a Chinese-made knife, the best Techman Good Boy, this is under $60, and I think the Hogue Deca is under $100. This is a better bug out than the bug out. And there's a video coming about this knife. This is the best Techman Good Boy. If you don't mind a Chinese budget knife, this thing is absolutely a way better knife than the Benchmade bug out. Mainly because it's less than half the price. The Hogue Deca is half the price. It is ridiculous what Benchmade is trying to charge, right? Hogue Deca is $150. I think they have a couple models of the Deca, like different materials and things like that are cheaper. But at any rate, that is still, what did it say? $210 to $400 for the Hogue, for the Benchmade, Jesus, I can't, bug out, the Benchmade bug out, right? What are you talking about? It's a replica. I don't even, I lost that one. I will never pay full price for a bug out. I wouldn't pay anything for a bug out. The Griptilian, probably the best model, really the best model that Benchmade made, right? You can get the Hogue Ritter, which is a better bug out, or I'm sorry, is a better Griptilian than the Griptilian for way less. And it supports knife rights. It just is ridiculous what Benchmade is doing. So I wanted to provide you guys some options. And that's why we have some of these knives out here. So Benchmade has Neo48, find a channel that is dedicated to that. But that's not what we're here to talk about. You can stick around if you want to talk about knives, but I'll tell you the truth, I don't fucking like either one of them. So there's some options if you're looking for something equivalent to a Benchmade. Most of them I'm going to point you in the direction of are at Hogue knives because they're American made. But I don't have any Hogue knives because I'm not buying knives these days. It's not Stonehands. What's up, buddy? I don't have any because, to tell you the truth, I don't like a lot of the Benchmade's designs, and a lot of the design language from Hogue is very similar to Benchmade. And I don't like Benchmade, so I'm not buying those knives from Benchmade either. But there are some options. And this one, here we go. Are you guys ready? Gravity knives, I have a couple gravity knives. I like the Exo gravity knife by Riat. It's amazing. This is stupid. This is the Benchmade Contigo. It is an Osborne design. It's very similar to the 940 if it was uglier and more uncomfortable, because this knife is just, to quote my friend Nick Shabazz, who I spoke to the other day, by the way. I love Nick. He's one of my favorite people. I get to talk to him on a personal level as opposed to what you guys see on YouTube. At any rate, this, to quote Nick Shabazz, is like a handful of hornets. It is fucking sharp everywhere. There is not anything on this that isn't sharp and uncomfortable and attractive. It's ugly. It's an ugly, ugly knife. But are you ready for this? Do you know how much this knife costs right now? For this bucket of ugly. Uglier than a mud fence. Uglier than my first girlfriend. And she was not attractive. Never date an ugly woman. It breaks your soul. The Contigo was $140 at release, which I think is still more than I would pay for this knife because I don't like it. If you were to buy this knife today, it is $250. And it's not just the Contigo, it is the Benchmade $9.10. This is way overpriced, and it's ugly, and it's uncomfortable. And if it wasn't for the fact it's not mine, I would throw it in the trash. I have zero, oh, I'm sorry, I take that back. I have one Benchmade, and the only reason I have a Benchmade is that this knife was a gift from one of my YouTube subscribers, as was the blade that is in it. So I always wanted one. I could never justify the price. I never owned one. I got one. I didn't like the S30V in mine is chippy, and as is S30V, period. So this is in S90V because it's a replacement blade that came from a guy named Jojo Jeep. He sent it to me, and I put I took the knife apart and I refinished it, and I got rid of the purple and green and did it all black and gold. Because I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, I have to admit black and gold is a good combo. I would never have bought this knife, and the only reason that here is because, one, it was a gift. The blade that is in it currently, it was a gift. And the main reason is I use this for size comparison in videos because this is one of the best known knives, the most well-known knives in the knife industry. It's the only reason I have it. I don't carry it. This thing hasn't been in my pocket in years. So it's just ridiculous, the price on these. And they're not a good knife. So I wanted to like this knife. I wanted to because I liked the lines and the aesthetic. And the second I got this, I was like, oh, I'm glad I didn't fucking buy one. I'm glad I got one as a gift. This lives in a spot out at my filming station so that I can reach over and grab it, put it next to a knife as a size comparison. It's the only reason I still have it. That's the only reason it ever is out of its little storage area in this case over here. But there's some options. Like I said, anything that Benchmade makes, you can probably pick up a Hogue that's better. If you like their Integral, the Anthem, you can pick this up for less, like I think these are 400 or something now in that price range. Oh, I hit that was me, the flipper tab. In that price range, it's a better knife. It's a much better knife. This is a much better Integral. It is super light, super light, because underneath these carbon fiber overlay scales, there's absolutely weight reduction that was done on them. I do hunt when I'm back home. I don't hunt here in California. It's just problematic to hunt in California. Reversible pocket clip. It is a nested frame lock, but engineering wise, way better. Way better. This is not a Hogue. This is the WeOAO. H-O-U-G-E, I think it's the same. If you're looking for pistol grips, same company. At any rate, this is an option for an Anthem that you can get at half the price of a Benchmade Anthem, and it's about half the weight, and it's in a better steel. And the heat treat on this, okay, I can't really say that. Benchmade Anthem had, the Benchmade Anthem had a very nice blade, and it was in M390, and their heat treat was pretty decent. This is still better. Well, I mean, you can still get them. They're available on the secondary market, and people are selling them for like $1,000. They were $700 to begin with. Double tap the screen to drop a like if you haven't already. But if you like the Anthem, this is a knife that is comparable. This is comparable, and it's probably the only Integral I've ever liked. There is another Integral that you can get that is really good. May still be available. I haven't checked. This is the Terramundi Knives Ray. If you check out Beyond EDC and you check it out with my coupon code crazysharp, all one word, they may be there, but I have a 40% discount if there's any stock left. I don't know if that's going to continue when Beyond EDC makes its triumphant return to the knife company or to the knife industry. I'm really good friends with the owner of the company. Great knife here. It's another Integral. This is designed by Dylan Mallory. Still cheaper than a Benchmade Anthem. And like I said, if they do have any of these in stock, you can reach out, use coupon code crazysharp. It'll save you 40% there. So I do not like any of the Vero designs. They're not, let me caveat this. The Vero designs are all very well done knives. Unfortunately, it's not thought out for EDC and ergonomics. They are the most uncomfortable knives ever. I wanted to love them because I met the designer. I did. I met the designer and everything, and I can't think of his first name, but I met him and he's a really nice guy. He weird, just like all of us knife guys. Everything is counterintuitive on those knives. Like where there should be high spots, there's low spots. Where there's low spots, there should be high spots. And whether I agree with anything you guys put in here that is politics, I'm going to take it down because I don't want politics on here. It's too divisive. Everyone should be able to have fun. And if you start throwing politics or religion in here, it irritates people and I don't fucking want it. Joseph, that's his name. I just don't like his designs. It's just, they just do not do it. But this one is done by Dylan Mallory. It's an awesome design. I love it. Super comfortable until I got this one. Until I got this one, this was the best integral I'd ever had. So the Veros are overpriced. The ergos just aren't what I would want. Fuck. Sorry about that. My phone rang. I thought I had it in Do Not Disturb. Tell Matt Martino I'll call you back sometime in the next hour or two.
Send it. Done.
So at any rate, yeah, I know. It always happens when I'm having a really good fucking live feed, my phone fucking rings. Well, I'm back now. Is the audio good? I mean, let me get up because I got to make another cup of coffee. Let me know if the audio is good because... Fuck. At any rate, yeah, I'm back. I'm back. So, at any rate, audio's good. Okay, cool, because I'm going to get up and get a cup of coffee here in a minute. So a lot of the BenchMades are overpriced, but there's some options out there. If you don't mind, like there's American-made options that, oh, the Arius is the best knife. The Arius Flipper Delete is the best knife that you can buy. Is it my favorite knife right now? No. But I will say you, for all the wickets that you need to hit for a perfect knife, it's up there. It hits it. This is currently, in my humble opinion, the most perfect knife I've ever bought. Ever. Now, if I get a chance to get an Arius, mini Arius Flipper Delete, maybe, yeah, it's amazing. But this, currently, this is always in my pocket. So at any rate, there's some options out there. If you like the 940, right? If you like the 940, there's some options. Now, you can find some options. This is a little bit more expensive, but if you're already going to pay the money, hear me out on this. This is very, very similar to the 940. Can you see the lines? You got a really similar kind of blade. You got a similar handle style. Very, very similar in size. The exception is this won't cut a fucking thing. This won't cut shit. This is hollow ground. It's in M390. It has got a very, very good point on it. So as opposed to being like that, you've got more of a piercing tip. It cuts really, really well. You've got a modified Warncliffe on this. The handles on it are very well done in titanium, micarta inlays, and then this is an area up here that is milled, but it's done well enough. It's still, it's not sharp, but it's sharp enough that that's jimping. And the fact that it's hollow ground means, as opposed to the Benchmade 940, that is like trying to cut with the back of most knives, this is a laser beam. It's more comfortable. Now, if you're looking at the S90V version, you're paying less for this than the S90V Benchmade 940. Look at the pocket clip on that. You got inlays. This gets carried a lot. Can you tell? Like the dark discoloration on the micarta. This is a much, much better option. This is a much better option than the mini nightshade is much better than the bug. I have a mini nightshade. It's on my workbench. I'll grab that low country hillbilly. I'll grab mine when I go make my coffee, but it's way better than the 940. It is leaps and bounds above the 940. And this is the Oaks Works EDX Solar Storm. Jordan, I was getting to it. So this is the Oaks Works EDX Solar Storm. Now, I don't know if Eric has another run of these or still has any of these left, but you can probably find them somewhere out there. They may be hard to find, but this is a great option, and it's got a choil on it that you can get up on and use this really comfortably to do a lot of tasks that you just can't do with the 940, like cutting, anything. Is the amphibian thick blade stock? We'll talk about that in a second. Well, may as well talk about it. This is relatively thick blade stock. Oh, Axis lock. Benchmade's Axis lock. If you're paying for a Benchmade Axis lock, you're an idiot. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. It's not that you're an idiot. Well, I mean, kind of. Benchmade, the Benchmade Axis locks, I've never, where's mine? Where's my Benchmade? Where's my 940? Here's my 940. I have a ton of blade play in this. And do you know why? Because if I turn this a tiny little bit, it becomes a two-hand opener. Their Axis locks are garbage. This is the best crossbar lock, in my opinion, on the market right now. The ram lock from Microtech. People have said, oh, did you see cutting board? Yeah, I did see cutting board knife reviews. Idiot move that he pulled, smacking like a spine whack is different than let me see if I can break the lock. And if you do that, well, you deserve anything that happens to you. I know he cut the I saw the video. He did it like this. And I saw him doing it. I was like, he's going to get cut. If that knife fails, he's going to get cut. At any rate, yes, this is rather thick blade stock, but the grind that they did on this knife is extremely thin behind the edge. Can you see my bevel on that? It is really, really thin and slicey. And then it does thicken up at the tip to give you a more reinforced tip. Can you see how the same angle, but it thickens up a little bit? I don't have a problem with that. I've done that on custom knives when I made custom knives. But yeah, this is the best Axis lock ever. It's really akin to what they put in the Anthem. I mean, it's almost one-for-one identical. It only has one spring here. You don't have to worry about springs on either sides. It is very, very robust. It's got really good action. And this knife is locked up. There is no blade play in that. It is tight. So, yeah, great, great. If you want to get one of these, please go to the video I did about this, and there's purchase links in there because it does support the channel and it doesn't cost you anything extra. Any of the links that are in the description below, if you go to like Blade HQ and you pick up a knife, use my affiliate links down below because it supports the channel. Hogue is way better than Benchmade if you want to stick to American made. It is, but Hogues are still a little bit more expensive than some of the other knives that I have. Like I said, $56. And this is I carry this a lot. This is like basically, this is a better version of the BenchMade bug out at a quarter of the price. No, less than a quarter of the price. There's another option. If you like the 940, there's another option that I'm going to show you because I absolutely love it. I haven't carried it in a while. This is the Drop Bear, which is a lot like the 940. As a matter of fact, I like this way better than a 940. And you know why? Broad blade, nice grind, nice and thin, axis lock. If you like the aesthetics of the 940, this is kind of similar, and it's got a way better axis lock. If I had to pick an axis lock like this style axis lock, I would have to say that this is a tie for one of the best budget lock or a button crossbar axis style locks, like the BenchMade style axis locks. This and my Vosteed Mini Nightshade are a tie. We're on that. Mitcheltron, we're on that already. This is the Kaiser Drop Bear. This is a great knife, nice and thin, really slicey, better steel in my opinion. This 154 cm versus S30V. Unless you're getting the S90V version, and I got news for you, I still don't like the S90V version. If I was gonna carry a knife out of my collection in S90V, it would be this, which is by far, in my opinion, the best everyday carry knife ever. This is the pinnacle of it. It's not my favorite. This is not even my favorite, but this is a better version for me. But like, if you're talking about all around for everybody, this knife is perfect. Size, blade shape, materials, lock, carryability, all those things. The PM2 is just the perfect EDC. It's not my favorite knife. It's not my perfect knife. It's not a perfect knife, but I believe it's as close as you're gonna get to hitting all the wickets for a perfect EDC. If you're a bigger guy like me, you can get away with carrying the, I don't like Tontos. If you're a bigger guy like me, you can get away with carrying the Military 2, which is a good bit bigger. Like I said, I'm 6'3", 240 right now. I wear XXL gloves. I can carry this, but I also will tell you, this knife is a lot easier to use than this knife for certain things. This has a smaller blade. It's easier to control. You can do some smaller stuff. Just a simple reminder, hit that like button, please. Thank you. Thank you very much, Top Dog. Absolutely. Great, great knife. Better than any BenchMade I've ever owned. And I mean, Spyderco has a ton of models, and they're still going to be, like I said, you can almost get these 3 knives for what they're charging for the 710. Don't get me wrong. This is not a bad knife, but it's not a $600 knife. It's not a $400 knife. It's not a $300 knife. And with the serrations, in my opinion, it's not a $10 knife. Now, I do know some people do like serrations. I'm not a fan. So it's not the PM3, it's the Para 3. There's all kinds of stuff, like Eric Glesher goes and talks about why it's not the Para 3. Why it's not the PM3, it's the Para. So you have the military. So you have the Military 2, the PM2, and the Para 3. I have not gotten to try one of the Ozark Trails, Killian. I have not gotten to see one of those yet. I would like to see one of those Ozark Trail bug outs that I guess Birdshot did a video about it and things like that. But there's a lot of other knives out there that are really, really, I don't like Gerber knives. Unless we're talking about like an old school, like Vietnam era, made in Oregon Gerber. I have not had a chance to talk to him yet, Aiden. Aiden sent me some sharpening stones. I forwarded those stones over, the stones that came over to Alex at Outdoors 55. Alex and I are going to do a video where we talk about why I hate super steels. Well, a lot of them anyway. So Do I have any opinions on Best Tech? If you'd been here earlier, you would have seen this. This is the Best Techman Good Boy. Very, very good option for the Benchmade bug out. Now, there's some other knives that you can get, not necessarily that are really similar to some of the Benchmades, but if you like the blade shape, I mean, kind of like the blade shape on this. Where's the knife that I had? Yeah, here it is. The overall blade shape and handle kind of gets you. You see what I'm saying? You kind of get in here, and plus this is a much more comfortable knife. Low Country Hillbilly. Production-wise, daily use Spyderco is king. I wouldn't say they're king. I will say that I've definitely gotten back into loving Spydercos. I have a lot of Spydercos that I've always loved. This is my favorite Spyderco of all time. This is the Spyderco Police, the original, the all-steel version. This is what I always wanted. This was a gift from one of the paying members. Thanks for the $1.99, by the way. Sorry, I didn't say that. Big shout out. If you guys feel like supporting the channel, you can drop a super chat, but I'm just as happy if you do the free option and double tap the screen and give me a like on the video. This is a great, great knife. It's not the best knife they make. It's my favorite. I think the best knife that Spyderco makes is the PM2 for most people. This is the best knife they make. Like I said, it's not the best EDC they make, but in my opinion, it's the best knife they make just because I love it. And if I modify something on a knife, you know it's not going anywhere. I put a radioactive butt plug in mine because there's a tritium vial in this and it glows in the dark without needing charged. So there's some other options for some of the Benchmades. Like I said, that blade that you saw on that 710. Not, what? Yeah, the 710, which it's almost the same. I mean, that could almost be the price. This is incredible. What was this? I have hundreds and beat them daily. What was this? Smith & Wesson knives are kind of a shitty scam. There's a lot of scam companies out there. I got a video that's going up sometime this week about a scam knife, basically. Spyderco for the price. I just wish they would make higher end steels. You know what? I gotta say, Spyderco really has been killing it. This is crewware, and I never have owned a knife in crewware until recently, and now I own two. If you want an American-made knife, Alex Steingraber Performance Knives, Lamia in crewware. I don't think he's still making these in crewware, but this is amazing. Super, super thin behind the edge. This is a great knife, American-made. They are pricey. This is a $700 knife that deserves to be a $700 knife. And it's all made by one man in the shop. We talked about that in another. You missed Aiden. I did not miss Aiden. I'm going down. I'm part 2 with knife royalty. Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. I had him on my channel. I think we're going to do it on his channel this time. I didn't miss Aiden. I'm trying to get through it. I just was on a tear with some other comments. I'm reading comments if anything stands out. Sorry, guys. And then this, talking about, this is the PM2. We're talking about, somebody was saying that they don't do good heat treat on their steels. This is S90V, and I have been friends with custom knife makers for a while. The only heat treat I've had on S90V that was better than this from Spyderco was a custom heat treat. It was a custom heat treat from Elliot Williamson on an in-house knife when he used S90V as prototypes. What do you mean, what? Question mark, question mark, question mark. Did I miss something? Thoughts on Harbor Freight pocket knives? Don't buy knives at Harbor Freight. I would be hesitant to buy knives at Walmart. What are your opinion is the best budget knife? I mean, there's so many budget knives out there. It'd be really hard for me to say what is the best budget knife. I think I have my own opinion on some of the budget knives. And I think right now well, I have, okay, Low Country Hillbilly, I have a Spyderco that the heat treat on it is just fucked. At any rate, Aiden, thank you for the super chat. Everybody that dropped the super chat, I appreciate it. This is the best outside of a custom heat treat in S90V. And I mean, that's small batch. Like, the only thing better than this was that custom heat treat. And that was small batch, no more than 5 knives at a time, super controllable, super duplicatable, all those things that was simple, simple, simple. This is big batch production heat treat, and it's incredible on this one. This thing just stays sharp for almost forever. So, but there are a lot of options out there for some Benchmates, and there's just some knives out there that are good that get overlooked. This is one that gets overlooked a lot. This is the Ferrum Forge button lock Stinger. Oh, that's right, Al. Al, did you see that you, I don't know if you saw the giveaway video I was doing, but you missed another win. You actually won one of the knives I did for the members only giveaway, and now those have been added back to my collection because you only have 48 hours. So this is a great, great, great knife. Super thin behind the edge, just your average, just a really good all-around everyday user. I've started carrying mine again pretty regular, and it is also great. You have the Paragon Warlock. Okay, that is a ridiculous knife. They are horrible. They really are horrible. I just, like, I know a lot of people love them. They are not a good knife. They really aren't. They're as a gravity knife, and it's the push button, and I just hate it. I just hate it. This is based on a knife. Yeah, I know a lot of people do. I'm just saying, like, me personally, that knife makes 0 sense to me, and especially at the price. This is an awesome, awesome knife. Really, really thin. So this is great. Knives and Pizza, what's up? Guys, if you're here, drop a like. That's free. I'm not even asking you to drop a super chat. Drop a like. There have been some people that drop super chats if you want to join them on that. Yeah, really, really good knife. This is something I wanted to talk about. This is, wow, look, Low Country Hillbilly, thank you very much. Awesome, awesome, awesome. This is a knife that now, so I kind of waited. I knew this was coming. This is a knife, this and the Crux. This is the Gent by Ferrum Forge Knife Works. Now, this is an aftermarket scale upgrade that I did. I got these dipped when my buddy had a hydrographic shop. But this is the Ferrum Forge Gent. And if you want an amazing, yes, you can sharpen, Nate, yes, you can sharpen on the bottom of a coffee cup. I did it in a video. This is probably one of the best all-around small gentleman's folders that you're going to get. These are available at Ferrum Forge Knife Works right now on their website. This and the Crux, which I no longer have a Crux. These are available again, and you can save 10% with coupon code crazysharp. I don't make a penny on the sale of a Ferrum Forge knife, but I can get you a discount. This was the one that was their biggest seller on Mass Drop ever, hands down. Mass Drop released back the license to Ferrum Forge. They started making it. You can get these at Ferrum Forge Knife Works now. Do I remember what knife you would have won? I think you won a Kaiser. I think the Kaiser Infinity, if I remember right. So if you guys are members, you gotta follow the members videos. Like, you gotta check those out, because sometimes there's a giveaway video in there, and if you don't claim within 48 hours, a lot of times the knives I'm giving away, I've become attached to, and I was going to give them away anyway. But if you don't claim them, they go back in my collection. So, but yeah, 10% off, Crazy Sharp, all one word. So this thing is really, really good. That's a great knife that you can pick up. And this is something that would be comparable to a bug out style knife. Nice, thin, small, easy to carry, easy to put in pocket. Got a really nice deep carry pocket clip. There's what notch? Lobotomized lemming, I don't have, there's no notch in this. Are you talking about, what knife are you talking about? I don't, you know the best moly tool you'll ever carry, Nate, is a Swiss Army knife. You know why? Because never in a pinch have I been that guy that was like, I need a fucking pair of pliers. Never once have I thought that, but I do need a knife, I do need a screwdriver, I do need a pair of scissors and things like that. Swiss Army knife. Stinger is one of the best EDC. I do have to agree, it is one of the best EDC knives. The other options for Benchmades that you can pick up, there's a lot of them out there. Now, somebody mentioned the Aloris, and I just wanted to bring it up. This is the Aloris by Fair & Forge Knife Works. If you're into this was my knife of the year last year, I believe, or the year before, I can't remember. This was one of my knives of the year. This is an amazing knife. Not only is it attractive, it's not unaffordable. It is super, super smooth, comfortable, nice and thin, and it's two-piece construction instead of three-piece construction. It does not look like a bigger Fortis. It looks like the deity and the demigod, because that's what it's based on, because this is the Fortis. I guess they kind of look similar, maybe a little, but there's some definite difference. But you can pick a Fair & Forge knife where you can pick an Elliott Williamson design out of a lineup. But that's a Fortis. That's a Fair & Forge Fortis right there. So, other knives that are really good options for Benchmade. I mean, pretty much any budget brand. Like I said, if you are looking for American made, Hogue. If you're looking for anything else, there are so many budget knives out there. If you don't mind either Taiwan or China. Because, you know, I've talked about it before. I really don't care where a knife's made as long as it's a quality product. So I'm sorry, I was doing a little bit of maintenance here on the thing. I gift the G10 non-knife people. I don't know what we're talking about. I love that you have so many Fair & Forge knives. I have the ones that I liked. Tino has a ton. Like I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 of their in-house builds, right? And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of their, you know, their production versions. Like this one. This was another design that they did, and I like this knife a lot, and now that I have it out of the case, I'm like, this is it's probably gonna go in my pocket after this. This was their knife that they called the Buck, short for Buccaneer. And this thing is a great, great knife. Super thin, nice. I don't know who Devin Conaway is and Made You Look. Please, I'm gonna remove that, but I don't want religion, politics, any of that stuff here because it can be off-putting for people. But this one's great. I just try to make it better for everybody. You know, a fair and equitable place, a fair and equal place for this. At any rate, this is this thing's great. So you got this big broad blade and a skinny handle. So what you wind up with is still a rather compact package. I do like Victorinox. They make some really good kitchen knives. They make the best Swiss Army knives. Wenger used to make Swiss Army knives, and those ones were not great. But yeah, Great, great knife. If you're looking for something like that, you might be able to find these still. What's the best? Hi, what's the best boxers? It's like trolls. Like I don't understand. Who is Devin Conway? I have to look it up now. Sorry, guys. I have to look up who Devin Conway is. Hang on. I don't know what's going on here. Devin Conway. I do not like Kershaw. Oh, cricket. I used to watch cricket and rugby in, I used to watch cricket and rugby in Hong Kong at a place called the White Stag Pub. And it was for British expats. And I used to go there and I would watch, because we always wound up being there during rugby sevens or during the Cricket World Cup or whatever else, you know, wherever else, whatever it was. But I used to hang out in that bar when we'd be in Hong Kong. So carrying a ProTech manual, help me buy something on eBay, don't ship in Hungary. No. Okay, I've had so many people reach out to me. It's like, hey, if I buy something, get it shipped to you and then you can ship it. No. No, 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 no. You can get in trouble for that. I don't know exactly how I ended up here, but you explained nicely. Should I tell my dad about your channel? My dad likes knives. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's always fun to hang out. And I have a lot of knives. There's a lot of stuff out there. Like Benchmade knives. Benchmade's kind of a one-trick pony. Do I like Kershaw? I said no. I do not like Kershaw, mainly because Kershaw, Gerber, ZT, their quality has really, 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 really dropped. Now, Kershaw was the budget line of ZT for a long time, and the thing with it was that they weren't great. Their quality wasn't great, but they really dropped off. And I did have some Kershaws. I had a Ken Onion Blur. What else did I have? I had some other things, but Thanassi, shout out to Thanassi there. You got a shout out. So what was I saying? At any rate, everybody loved it because they thought ZT, well, it's an American brand. No, they were made in America, but it's absolutely not an American brand. ZT is part of Kai. If you know anything about Japan, if it's made out of metal, if it's used to sharpen metal, or if it's used to clean metal, you bought it from Kai. Kai, America, is who does ZT and Kershaw. So ZT and Kershaw, by default, are the American division of a Japanese company. I have no problem with that, but they're not an American company. And they're not great knives. So it's, what knife do you use for that, Swamp Az? I'm just curious. Like, is there, I have not tried 15V yet. What knife do you use to castrate bulls for a living in Texas? I'm curious. Because we never used a knife. If you use a knife, then you're backwards. We used the gun for pigs and things like that, and it was the band. You just put it on there. That's how you did it. Well, yeah, then you would open it up. But yeah, I guess you used a knife. But my grandfather just used a razor. So Big Brown Bear has, it's not his formulation. So when you say Big Brown Bear's 15V, it's not 100% accurate. It's not 100% accurate. He convinced them to get the formula or purchase that steel and bring it back because it is an older steel. He just liked the things about it. He is responsible for it coming back, but it's not a formulation that Big Brown Bear came up with. If I remember correctly, I could be wrong. It's a castrating knife. It looks like pliers. Okay, yeah, so it's really similar to what we had done. We had the thing you put the ring on and you just open it up and then pop the, you know, pop the grapes out. Do you milk bowls? No, but I heard that your mother does with her mouth. I can be rude and irreverent and pull the same thing on the trolls for a little bit, then I get tired of it. But yeah, there's so many knives out there that are a great option. And to be honest, most of us do not need much else than this. This is a relatively affordable knife. This is the Cold Steel Mini Tough Light. I have a Tough Light that my father gave me. All right, Mark, I'm glad you like the joke. There's a larger version of this that I have, but I got news for you. This gets carried a lot because for most tasks, I don't need much more than this. What's it? Like people are like, oh, you're that guy that says it's not about the size of the boat, it's about the motion of the ocean. And I'm like, I'm more inclined to say it's not about, I would be inclined to say it's not about the size of the boat or the motion of the ocean. It's can that captain keep that boat in port till all the passengers get off? That's what's more important. Just take it and give it back like a real damn man. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, I got you. Yeah. So this is a great little knife for day-to-day tasks. What do I think of CGRB? I like CGRB. As a matter of fact, Artisan and CGRB are one of the best companies out there if you're looking for a decent budget knife. As a matter of fact, they're sister companies. They share the same production, so that should tell you a lot about the quality of Artisan and CGRB, because I went with Artisan to make my fixed blade that I released with them. So, but I wanted to point something out about BenchMade, since we're still on the BenchMade thing. I'm sorry. So BenchMade has all these knives that are stupid. I don't like switchblades so much. They have all these knives that are stupid expensive, right? I'm going to show you a secret. This is HK. So HK knives that you can get at Big Five and things like that, about 40, 50 bucks. You know who makes this? BenchMade makes this. So BenchMade can make, and this is not a bad knife. Like for the price, absolutely. It's a little heavy, but it's got a lot of the features that I like in Spyderco's. It's a little heavy. It is tip down only, and it's assisted, which I don't like assisted opening. But the fact is, right here, you've got proof that BenchMade can make a knife affordable. Because guess what? If you break this knife, guess who you send it to? Fucking BenchMade. This is a big $50 special. This one was made by BenchMade. Some of their models still, and now they may, at this point, if they were smart, have went with it. It has some Griptilian vibes to it. It's more akin to a lot of the Spyderco's. So this is just an assisted. Joe, this is not safe and scary. I was a knife maker. I was in the military. I've carried knives my entire life. I don't know what you're talking about. If you find yourself to feel unsafe, maybe you should seek some professional help and maybe a different live feed. Do I like Cold Steel? Cold Steel is an incredible brand, as a matter of fact. We're going to talk about this again. So this is a sheath for my Cold Steel OSS that was made for me because I like it enough. I wanted a sheath so I could have that knife. This is a sheath that was made for me by Spirit of the Bear. Go give him a shout out. Go give him a shout out, and if you need a sheath, go pick it up. Hey, chat, does this guy know what he's talking about? 3,000 videos on knives, was a knife maker, professional knife maker, knife designer for 3 companies now. There's a good chance I know what I'm talking about. I mean, you don't have to believe me. Just because I said something doesn't mean you have to believe me, but I mean, I can give you my pedigree if you want. I'm part Labrador Retriever, apparently. I don't have a cold steel recon. I don't. Which companies, out of curiosity? I designed a combat utility knife that I did for We Knife Company. I did a small everyday carry Warrenclyffe knife that I did from that I did for Artisan Cutlery, CJRB Artisan. And I'm designing a folding knife with KATSU Knives. And by the way, KATSU Knives, Rosecraft Blades, and Fair & Forge Knife Works, you save 10% with my coupon code crazysharp. I don't make anything on a sale of those knives. I just want you to be able to afford them and maybe make them a little bit cheaper. I'm gonna go, I have a thing of coffee ready to go. I filled one of my coffee filters. I'll grab those 2 knives if I can get them real quick. I'll show you the 2 knives that I designed. The one that's coming, the folding knife, is not ready yet. Like, it's not time for me to, the dogs are gonna start barking because the neighbor's putting stuff in their trash can. Let me go update my coffee and caffeine intake, but you should still be able to hear me. Yeah, I design knives based off of designs that I did as full customs when I was doing that. And so it was pretty easy to translate those designs. Let me go grab those designs for you. So my coffee, my Keurig turned itself off, so it's not hot. It's gonna take it a second to make that cup of coffee. I'll have to go back and get it. But I designed a couple knives. This is a very small, everyday carry fixed blade. I made a couple knives. I made a knife for my daughter. I designed this as a drop point and a Warrenclyffe. I was working construction and I realized how valuable it was to have a small fixed blade. I carried one of my customs. I talked to the customer. I was like, hey, can I carry this? I want to see how it works on a job site. And so I designed this as an everyday carry fixed blade when I was working construction and still doing knife stuff, because I quit my government job because it fucking sucked. Working for the government is garbage. Don't let anybody tell you anything different. The money was good, but it only went so far. The job was killing me. So this is a small little Warrenclyffe fixed blade, right? And to give you an idea how small, the BENCHMADE 940, as we said, one of the best known, it's not a big knife, but it's adequate for what you want. So that was the second design I did. Isn't the cold steel fixed blade you sent Scott not the original Recon? No, I sent him the R1 Military Classic. It's completely different. No, KATSU is, okay, KATSU is one of those companies that's kind of hybrid. They really are. KATSU splits production of certain things between, it's almost like the mid-tech kind of thing. So it's one of those deals where it's like they have parts made in China, they have parts made in Japan, they have finishing done in different places. So it's kind of different. But I've talked to them, and it's not like some of the other brands that you see. It was, and they work with Japanese designers, Japanese military, things like that. At any rate, this was my combat utility knife design that we did through We Knife Company. So this was the stonefish, sea steak, stonefish, venomous creatures. So I love this knife. I love the design. I actually don't carry this because I made so many of these that I kind of got sick of seeing them. So, but at any rate, we were talking about options other than BENCHMADE. You can find some really good companies that are putting out a lot of cool stuff. Finch knives. Finch knives is a really, really good option. They are overpriced trash. So this is the Finch knife Stinger. Great knife. One of the overall best knives. The Tin Man. So AR RPM 9 on that small fixed blade. This is AR RPM 9 because it's a budget knife. This was meant to be used. You take this to a job site, you use it doing construction, you use it going out camping. These are under $50. And I wanted it to be like that because I wanted that budget option. Now mine has got soft loops on it, so I can carry it scout carry. Does not come with these, but this was something that, like, if you lost this knife on a construction site, you lost it in a campsite, you know, it fell out of your pocket because you carried it to and from someplace, you didn't feel bad about it because you could get another one. It was a good gift option, and like I said, I wanted something that was like affordable, but still very, very, very utilitarian and useful. So, BenchMade is not using Chinese mystery steel. They're just shitty knives. They're way overpriced for what you get. And then this was done in 20 CV because I wanted something more robust. I wanted something that would take the edge that I want and things like that. And so I had been making my knives. All of my custom knives were in 20 CV with a better heat treat, but you can't do production heat treat. You can't do production heat treat at the levels of what I was doing for a custom knife. How much does the WE Knives blade retail? I don't know what they have. You can find these on discount. They are a discontinued knife. They no longer make this. I believe they were, I want to say $250. Titanium hardware, G10, 20 CV. This was the production prototype, but that's for all intents and purposes. There were no changes. I think I had them change one thing off the production. I had them round these points a little bit more than they were. So, but yeah, there's the Lamia coated. If I was gonna, like, instead of spending $600 or $700, 250, bro. At this point in the knife industry, 250 is a budget knife. It really is. If you want something, I mean, they're like a lot of times 250 and below. That's like medium tier. This is probably one of the best knives out there. Like, if I was going to spend, I wouldn't spend $600 on a 710 from BenchMade. I would, if I was going to drop that much cash, I would just take the extra $100 and get one of these directly from Alex. So I'm actually in the market looking for quality machete either. Cold Steel has some really good machetes, and a lot of times they're in those like 5160 and stuff like that. That's where I would check. They're decent. And then like everyone's saying, then Condor. So I'm going to start making knives, making a large chopper with 12-inch blade and a 1/4-inch steel in the garage. It's going to be a chunk. The thing that you have to account for is, like, you have to, when you're making a knife, you have to figure that fine line between, I want a big, thick, chunky knife, and then I still want the knife to be able to cut. If you're making just a chopper, which I don't agree with, because if I want a chopper, I'm going to go get a fixed blade that's done in a specific steel. But the fact is, in all likelihood, instead of taking a chopper for most tasks, I'm going to take a hatchet out in the field with me. As much as I like that giant Grizzly, let me get my coffee and I'll grab the Grizzly, I'll show you. As much as I like that giant Work Tough Gear Grizzly, I really don't think that, like, I don't think that that would be what I would take most times. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. If you guys can still hear me, I'm coming right back. I'm going to check and see. Let me know if you guys could hear me clearly, because I'm all the way in the kitchen and I'm about to walk into the studio to grab that grizzly. I don't think I got enough coffee grounds in this. It looks a little weak. I'm coming back, I'm coming back, I'm coming back, I'm coming back. So if I was to, like, I see why people are enamored with choppers, and I see the competitions and stuff like that. But for me, that's not what I want. It really isn't. This is a big old chopper. Hang on a second. This is a big, big chopper right here. It's heavy. And it still doesn't do everything I want in a camp, right? I know it looks cool. You watch Predator and you see a knife like this, the one that it's kind of similar, like this is really similar to that. You can't do everything with this that you can do with a hatchet. And it's heavy, and it takes up a lot of space, and all of that. And then you've got this, like contending with this, and like, how are you gonna carry this? And like, you're gonna have to, or you can't carry this on your belt. You're gonna have to, and these are taped down because when I do videos, they rattle and it drives me crazy. I would be much more inclined. Who makes that? That is Work Tough Gear. It's designed by Alex at Aurora Borealis Knives. I would be much more inclined to take something this size, which is the R1 Military Classic by Cold Steel Knives. I'd be much more inclined to take something this size. I don't know the price. It was a gift. It was a gift from another YouTuber. So I really don't know the price on that. I can't tell you. I'd be much more inclined to take this and a small camp hatchet. This is easy to carry. It's not even as big as this one. I'd be much more inclined to take this. It's a capable knife. I have hundreds of knives, Jack. I would be much more inclined to take this and a small hatchet. The artisan hatchet is another, that's what I was getting ready to say. The Nebulax, which is out, let me go, hang on. Don't go anywhere. I'm gonna go grab that hatchet. Like I said, this is not necessarily an outdoor knife. This is a fighting knife. The Rambo knife is actually garbage. Unless you're talking about an actual knife that was done by the guy that did the knives, and I can't think of his name off the top of my head for just right this moment. I can't. This is capable in an outdoor scenario. This is a combat knife. This is based off of the Model 1 by Randall Made Knives that was carried by paratroopers. Back in the day, they were like, people would be like, how do you tell a paratrooper or a special forces guy? By the Randall Model 1 and the Rolex that he wears. This is basically the same as a Randall Model 1. It's a licensed design. The Nebulax. Let me go get the Nebulax and then I'll show you the great big chopper again. The Nebulax was designed by Joe Flowers as an overall bushcraft tool. And I'm grabbing a couple things here. Grabbing a couple things. I'm coming back. I grabbed a couple things here that, like, you don't necessarily need even that the R1 Military Classic. So if I was going out, I don't have a war axe. If I was going out, I just went out to the studio in my box of things. This is the Cold Steel SRK is not illegal. This is the Nebulax. You can pick these up at Artisan Cutlery. I have beat the dog shit out of mine, but these things are great. This is so much better than the KATSU folding axe because the weight distribution on this is what you would expect in a hatchet. It allows the head to do the work. As much as I like that Cold Steel folding the cold steel fold, or I'm sorry, the KATSU folding tomahawk, the weight distribution on it is really bad. Buy from Whatnot sellers. Get out of here. What are you talking about? This is a great, great knife, or a great, great tool to have. And you can do a lot of things with this that you could do with a knife. So in lieu of carrying this big monster and trying to do everything with this, you could carry this relatively light hatchet. And I mean, it is relatively light because it is thin. This is a nice camp hatchet. This is a thief. What are you talking about? This is a camp tool. This is an EDC, not an EDC. This is a bushcraft hatchet. People should think before they text. So you don't, with this in your pack and then this in your pack, you're still under the weight. Lyle, that's what it was. Jimmy Lyle made the Rambo knives. Thank you. An actual Lyle is great. With these two, this is still lighter than this, and it doesn't take up as much space. This is on your belt. You can lash this to your pack with the fancy little, now I don't know where I put it. There it is. So it has its own little thing. So you could get away with, let me get this in here. Just put this on your pack, lash at your pack, on the back, and put this on your belt. This is a full custom, Lon Humphrey Tucson. Great, great outdoor knife. It's AEBL, so it's pretty rust resistant. It's going to take a really good edge. The handles are extremely comfortable if you got to do a lot of cutting. This will do kitchen tasks. This will do camp tasks. This will do fire sticking, feather sticking, I mean, all those things. And it's got a 90-degree back, so if you have a fire steel, you can strike it. This would be, like if I was going out camping and I didn't need to like kill a predator or like worry about like needing a short sword, I would definitely take this and this as a combo to save weight, save space, and basically get me a little further down the road than I need to be. This and this combo is great. And then the weight that you saved, you can bring a sharpening stone to touch up your knives if you want. This is a knife that I carry all the time. This winds up going everywhere with me. And I can't think of a better all-around outdoors knife that I own than this. This can take the place of even some of those larger knives. And it's easy to carry. It's nice and light. And it comes in a great sheath. This, if I wanted something bigger, maybe take this. If I was somewhere, I do have to say, this might also be another option. This is the Lion Steel M3. Gorgeous, gorgeous knife. Nice outdoor sheath. Large pouch in the front of this, so you could put a couple sharpening stones in this, like 2 different sizes, or some tinder and matches, whatever you wanted to put in it, because it's got a larger pouch. Is the Gilded server up? Yeah, it's still up, but you have to have, that's the problem with the Gilded server. Ethan, you have to have a Roblox account to log in now. That's the problem. So this is another great knife. Would be an all-around, good knife. You got a nice broad blade, thicker blade stock. You can do a lot of batoning with this because it's going through. It's done in Nylock steel. It's easy to sharpen. It takes a really, really good edge. Comfortable contoured and milled handles on this that are done in micarta, which is a more non-slip grip. And I mean, besides the attractiveness of it, just a great, great knife. It is a bit chunky, but for a knife that you're doing bushcraft stuff with, that might not be a problem. But this is a good bit heavier than the other knife. Like I said, for me, I think like for a lot of times and a lot of things that I'm going to be doing, this is just about the perfect knife. I carry this, well, until recently, I carried it almost daily. And it's going to go back on my belt because The only reason I wasn't carrying this, because I do carry a fixed blade 9 out of 10 times, because San Diego, you can carry a fixed blade legally. You can. Roblox. I'm not even going to try and explain and get into that. But there are some situations and scenarios, like places that I would go. What about the Bear Grylls knife? I've seen them. I think they're garbage. I'm going to watch. If you want to know about it, go check out Scab. This is more of a knife that if I was going somewhere where I thought there'd be mountain lions and coyotes and stuff like that, this is more of a knife that I would carry. You're looking at a double-edged, really unique dagger style blade. So it's double-edged, sharp on both sides, sharpen entire both sides of this. So this is, this dude is reading and taking this and talking at the same time without skipping a beat. I was a multitasker. I was in the military, had to multitask. Guys, if you haven't dropped a like, please do so. This is a cold steel OSS, which is basically the Black Bear Classic. If you're in San Diego, how you get SRK, they won't ship. I was issued my SRK in the military. I get switchblades. So Jack, I think that maybe your brother is lying to you and just doesn't want to have to get the knife for you. I've never had a problem getting a knife shipped to me in California. Blade HQ will send this to California. Blade HQ will send switchblades. Blade HQ will send anything I want sent. I've never had an issue. Knifecenter.com, same thing. But at any rate, if I was going out in the wilderness, I would, and I knew there was going to be like large predators. And I know that here in California, I can't carry a pew-pew. This is the knife that I take when I go up on the mountain, where there's a lot of mountain lions and coyotes and stuff like that. I have tried the TKL knives. They're really good. They're George. But this is a knife that I would trust to use on a mountain lion if I needed to. It's got the reach. It's got the blades. It's got the sub hilt, so it's not going to slip in your hand. It's double-edged, so you can cut and slash both ways. This would be something that I would probably think about taking if I knew it was going to be an area with larger predators. Also, I mean, if you want any proof of how good this knife is against large predators, large animals, there's a video where a man saves his father's life by killing a Cape buffalo with this exact knife, the OSS double-edged sub-hilt fighter. He stabbed a Cape buffalo to death with this. Well, if you're in San Diego, there's a good chance that that's what you're going to have available to you. I was retired military. I'm retired military. I taught firearms. I taught marksmanship. I taught all that stuff. I can't get a CCW. How long is the blade on this? About, I don't know. Like I'm supposed to. I don't know. It's about that long right there. It's about that long. I wear triple XL gloves. That might be a good reference. Here's a Benchmade 940 for reference. So whatever the overall length is a Benchmade 940, it's a little bit bigger than that. I don't know. This was a sheath done by Michael Spangers over at Spirit of the Bear. Amazon is weird about shipping. There's stuff that they won't ship to me, but they'll ship to my neighbor's house just up the road. And I'm like, why? Why do I have to drive 25 miles to go pick up something that Amazon won't deliver to my house? So yeah, there's a lot of really overpriced knives. I do have a knife that you guys should check out, because we're kind of done with the BenchMade thing. Like, I'm done shitting on BenchMade for a little while. I had to get it out of my system because they're garbage. They're horrible. And there's going to be a full-length video about this subject. Here's a knife that I can't recommend highly enough. This is the Slayback, designed by Ray Laconico. My buddy Ray designed this, and it was done by Monterey Bay Knives. ZDP 189 laminated blade, so it's ZDP 189 core. Awesome, awesome, awesome knife. I love this knife, and I haven't carried it in a while. I probably should get this out and carry it. Beautiful. What is this? Long shot, but you ever have any machetes on hand? No, I don't have any machetes. I don't need a machete. I have things like this. Now, if you were in a situation where you needed a machete, a knife, and a hatchet, this might be something you would use for everything. I just think that this would be a lot of extra work. Like, chopping with this is nowhere near, and I've done it, chopping with this is nowhere near as easy as a hatchet. And Benchmade 940 is a piece of shit. Leo, I'm sorry, I cannot disagree with you anymore, like, at all. I cannot disagree with you at all any more than saying that. It's a trash knife. What is the best all-around EDC knife that I'd recommend? I have said this. This is the perfect EDC. This is the Spyderco Paramilitary 2. Mine's an S90V. The PM2 with the compression lock is probably the best knife all around that you will ever get in a folding knife. One of the strongest locks on the market. The way it feels in hand, blade shape, controllability, the actual cutting surface meets almost every need that you could ever want. Isn't that hard to sharpen? This one? No, this isn't hard to sharpen. Are you talking about the big one? I don't know. This is a perfect EDC. Comfort in hand. Dave's Ghost. This is the Paramilitary 2, the PM2 by Spyderco. And if you're going to order it, use my Blade HQ link down below, or Knife Ship Free, GP Knives, so you can find it there. The Spyderco PM2, they have a lot of different models. But I have an affiliate link down below, and if you guys do decide to buy any of the knives, please use those links. It supports the channel. It's not going to cost you anything at checkout. But yeah, this is available at Blade HQ in a lot of different materials. I did dye the scales on this, and it's not the PM3, it's the Para 3. Eric Glesher did a whole thing. You have the military 2, you have the PM2, the Paramilitary 2, and then you have the Para 3. I don't know why it's different, but it is. Yeah, this is Spyderco. S30V is hard to sharpen. This isn't S30, it's S90. And it can be, but I'm a professional sharpener, and I have all the stones I would need to sharpen any of this. Like I said, G10 scales on this one. These ones, if you get the S90V one that they had, it has teal handles. I didn't like that color, so I dyed the handles on this blue. They were closer to the color of my Compression Made Easy. But yeah, really easy to deploy. Tip up, tip down, left, right hand carry, and things like that. And I do believe if you're going to buy a knife with a compression lock, you should go over to OCD for EDC and go to his, just look it up online, OCD for EDC CME, Compression Made Easy. It's just a little addition to that that makes it a little bit easier to manipulate that lock. As a matter of fact, I put one on this one that also has a compression lock. And then there's the larger version of this. For me, I think this is a better knife, but I do have to admit, for most people, the smaller version, like I said, triple XL gloves is what I wear. This is a 9.5-inch knife, almost 9.5. I think it's 9 1/4, or a little bit more than 9 1/4, almost 9.5. So this one is a little bit bigger than a lot of people want. This one is a little bit easier to carry and manipulate. And even for me, being a big guy, I do have to admit, this, the longer your blade is, the further you are away from the pivot, the less detail work you can do with the actual blade. And so with a shorter blade, really good grip on that handle, you can do almost anything you want with this knife. You could use it for skinning, even though it's kind of piercy. You could do a lot of things with this that just make it the perfect EDC. So, and this is the best heat treat I've ever had on S90B. So there's affiliate links to a lot of knife companies down below if you use them, and my Amazon store. So take that, pin it to your browser, use it for all your shopping. But this thing, absolutely incredible. Todd Carr, I mean, let me see here. That's why it's, I mean, what are we doing here? Right now I'm learning to sharpen my knife, but I think it's because it's 52-100. A lot of times, the problems people have with sharpening is they try to start at too high of a grit, too fine of a grit. So if you're at 1,000, that's a lot of times that's where people finish sharpening. I would say if you're sharpening, start at about, I don't know, 250 grit and see if that's going to get you where we go. Because the fact is, the more time you spend on your coarse stone, the easier it's going to be for your grit progression. What do I prefer? Drop point or a sheep's foot blade? I absolutely think that the Wharncliffe is not sheep's. I don't like sheep's foot. I still want a piercing tip. So I like a Wharncliffe better than a sheep's foot. Sheep's foot blade are good, but you still can pierce with this, but then you have this really straight edge. Most of the things that I'm gonna do, I don't need belly, right? I don't need the belly on a blade. So I don't need that rounded area. There are some knives that, you know, depending on what I'm doing, I'll use it for all around tasks. But for my day-to-day use, a Wharncliffe is just about perfect, which is why this little knife I designed right here is a Wharncliffe. I found it to be much more useful on a job site to have a Wharncliffe when I was doing construction than having a drop point, which is why when I went to a production company for this, I was like, it's got to be a Wharncliffe. There is a drop point version of this. I made a few of them. It never got released as a production knife, but there's a handful of my drop point custom made of these out there. I think I made, I don't know, 15 or 20 of them. So, and if you're here, please drop a like. I got a text. It was my daughter. Hang on. I'm really intent on this, like, because I have a 16-year-old daughter that is a freshman in college. And so when she texts me, I'm always that protective father when I see a text from my daughter popping up. I'm just trying to see here. Oh, okay. Yeah, her first class is over. Hit the thumbs up, guys. Yeah, hit that thumbs up. It's almost 2 o'clock. Yeah, she's done with her first class. So she was just telling me she's done with her first class. She's going to be on Do Not Disturb because she has homework that she needs to do. Computer science major, UCSD. Can't believe it. I blinked. She went from being my little baby girl to, I blinked and she's in college doing all kinds of stuff. Let me see here. I'm grabbing a couple knives because I'm just trying to show you some budget stuff. So there's a few knives in here I wanted to show you guys because I've been talking about budget options. This is a knife that, now that I think about it, if you're looking at BenchMades, kind of comparable in blade shape. Do I know where Coronado is? I was stationed at Coronado for a while. Yeah, at the NASNY. But this is the Pangolin by QSP Knives. This thing is a great job. I don't like Tontos on a job site because I never was doing anything like that. I was doing stuff like cutting tubing and visqueen and filter paper because we were doing the infrastructure stuff. So we always did bio basins and bio swells and had to do the pool liners and stuff like that. And a Tonto just didn't get me where I wanted to go. But this is the Pangolin by QSP Knives. Great, great option if you're looking for more of a tactical feel in a knife. These are like 55 bucks. This is the best $50 knife on the market. It is in D2 steel, so it has a tendency to rust. I will never own a Hinderer. He's a fucking piece of shit. This is the QSP Pelican. QSP Pelican, if you're looking for more of a softer style tip, almost a sheep split, but kind of still in that Warrenclyffe range as far as piercing tip. This is a great, great knife. These are about 100. Why do I feel that way about? Well, I've met Rick a few times, and so Rick got all out, bent out of shape when somebody questioned his heat treat because his heat treat was done soft on steels. Their lock mechanisms are not good. And then he tried to sue someone for calling them out for something that was provable, that they run their heat treat soft on some of their steels, and sent them a cease and desist. Rick is a little bitch, and he allowed his staff to berate his fans and customers and things like that. And I was like, if that's the way you're gonna do it, then I'm just not gonna buy your knife. I have boycotted Hinderer. There won't be on my channel anymore. I won't buy anymore. I won't ever own one. I won't ever own one. I won't buy one. I didn't buy one to begin with, but I'm just not gonna do it. Nick Shabazz. Nick Shabazz is a friend of mine. We talked about did I take it out of my pocket? Where'd I put it? This. I told him that this is currently my knife of the year, probably my favorite knife of all time. And I was like, do you want to borrow it? Because I saw him in person. We met up and hung out for a little bit. Yeah, I'm special like that. I'm friends with Nick Shabazz and I'm friends with Tony Marfion. At any rate, same thing with him. He boycotted. There won't be any Microtex on his channel because one of Nick's friends got sued by Tony Marfion, which, not surprising. As much as I like Tony, he is litigious. He sued his own son and daughter-in-law. So, reason why they don't use MagnaCut anymore, it's probably because it's expensive. It's probably because it was expensive and they were running it soft and they weren't following the heat treat protocols that Laren put out. But at any rate, same reason. He's like, he's like, I can appreciate your opinion. I can appreciate that you're friends with Tony. But the fact is, he sued one of my friends and we didn't get into it any further than that. But Rick Hinderer sued one of my friends. So I'll do Microtex. Nick can do Hinderers and we'll just have the whole knife world covered. Yes, I said Batman. In case you guys don't know, Nick Shabazz is a very, very, very private person, and he has done a really good job of keeping himself out of the limelight because he doesn't want his personal hobbies to affect his private life or his professional life. And I can appreciate that. That's why I don't call him by his actual name. Here I don't. And I don't let anybody know where he works or any of those things because he's a friend of mine and I really appreciate his friendship, and it would be unfair for me to dox things like that. And the guys that have tried in the past, dick move. I have never seen a Mustang knife, so I don't have a basis, Joey, to tell you. I would hazard to say, is that his real voice? It's his real voice, sort of. I mean, it's his real voice. He doesn't use a machine to mask it, but he definitely plays up the accent a little bit. They switched to F45VN because now everyone's calling him on soft MagnaCut, as they should, because that's the problem I had with the original Hogue Deca in MagnaCut. It was soft. And I'm like, guys, like Laren came out and said what the heat treat should be. And some people are trying to defend it. No, they were making the toughness. No, Laren had the perfect heat treat for it. Like if you get MagnaCut and it's not at Laren's heat treat, it's trash. It really is. And it's one of those ones that has a very narrow window of where it's good. 20 CV has a broader window. You can go from 62 to 63 all the way up to 65-ish, and you're gonna get a good result both ways. The production heat treat is softer. I did mine at 65-ish, and it was amazing. But MagnaCut is a specific formulation, and you've got to stay within that. And the fact that knife companies don't understand that just makes me insane. Nick Shabazz is the epitome of we can't have nice things without fandom ruining it. Yes. Well, I did the thing. That's why knives have went to shit. Fandom, the whole thing of having all these knives and companies having so many models every year was because it became a hobby. And I admit, I'm a hobbyist, but I can appreciate a knife for what it is. I can appreciate a knife for what it is. I don't need Microtech to come out and make 80 different models this year. Do I want them to? Yeah, because it's content for the channel. However, the big problem is with it being a hobby, companies constantly have to be making new knives, new designs, new things. And like, oh, well, we only sold so much of this, we'll never make that knife again. And they try to keep up with the demand from the hobbyists when technically they shouldn't, because they're only hurting themselves because they have all these models. They can't dedicate the resources to doing them 100% right. There are some companies that get it right, and they get it right every time. But even those companies that I say get it right every time, they still have some hiccups. And it's because they try to keep so many knives in their rotation, in their catalog. Spyderco for a long time. I don't know if you've noticed, but Spyderco has pared down how many knives they have in their catalog. And at first I was like, yep, see, Eric's ruining the business and he can't. And now that I've been looking at Spyderco knives, now that I think Eric's dad came back in and was like, I think we need to get back down to basics. And since then, things have really gotten better. So they're dedicating more time to specific designs. I don't know what Benchmade's excuse is. I was told at one point that the reason every one of the Benchmades came with a screwed up edge was because the guy that did the sharpening was blind in one eye. I was like, well, then have him do something else that he only needs one eye for. But depth perception is something you want when you're sharpening a knife. So, you know, just one of those things. Any biker knife designs? No, you can do like biker knife. This is one, OSS, but get a custom sheath for it. This Rum Runner, I was going to answer your question. Like you didn't need to retract the message. This would be something I could see a biker carrying. This would be like if you want something big and ostentatious and over the top. Pin a fellow biker to a pool table with this. So, but like if you're just like, I just need a good knife that I can carry. Boker, I don't have Bokers. Bokers historically have been really, really crappy. They really have been kind of crappy. They're starting to bring back their quality, but it's still hit and miss. They did have one that they called the Tough. The Boker Tough, I loved that knife. It was a little fixed blade. It was the Tactical Urban Fixed Blade, and it was a great knife. I have a bunch of Swiss Army knives. Boker, and then the Boker, the Burnley Quaken by Boker. Awesome, awesome, awesome. SE knives are really good. They're really heavy. They're really thick. They're indestructible basically. But they're good knives, but they're just not for me. You know what I mean? I do have a couple German knives, but I got news for you. At this point, if you have most of those brands, one, they're not made in Germany anymore. And two, they're probably not that great. We talked about that when I talked about the Boker, or not Boker, the Puma, the new old stock Puma buoy that I have. So it's 80s era production and everything. But now, if you look at the new ones, nowhere near as nice. So, yeah, SC tops and K-bar, they can be kind of bulky, like a sharpened club. Like if you want a knife that you're going to take out when you baton through something, it's really, really going to split wood, maybe an SE. I mean, they're not very, very good knives. They really, really are. They really, really are. Navy SEAL 2K. What was this? Icorn KM 2000 all the way. I have heard about this knife and never seen one. Never seen one. Not in person. Like I've heard people talk about that knife and a couple other knives, and I honestly have never seen one. Man, let me add that. I have to add that to my list. Oh, here's another great knife. I didn't think I would say this. This is another great knife from QSP. This is the Platypus, QSP Platypus. It is unique AF. And I didn't think I would like it, and I absolutely love this knife. It's all belly all the time. It looks like a Japanese or a Chinese sword. We don't talk about politics and we don't talk about religion. Sorry. German Army issue. Yeah, I've heard about them. I've never gotten to see one. I don't think I've even seen images of them, but I've heard so many people talk about how good they are. Oh, Todd Carr and I put the same person in timeout at the same time. Guys, I need to play with this. I think I may have my gain too high. Is that better? Did the audio get lower or did it go up? I'm noticing there's a lot of like red and yellow spikes. Did the audio get quieter? Because I can't tell. I don't know how decibels work. So I really don't know how decibels work. And it says I'm at -6 decibels, but I was at -18. So did it get louder or did it get quieter? I'm just curious. About the same? I didn't think that did. That little button doesn't do a goddamn thing. There's a little, here. There's a little thing on here, and I probably lost the audio. It probably changed. I'm gonna have to unplug it and plug it back in. But you can see how it is on here. Says says the overseas. Okay, Knives and Pizza, Crazy Sharp. There's a guy on Reddit that tests steels and composition and keeps saying oversteel knives are lying about what steel they used. Is that true? I have not seen it. I've seen companies that maybe didn't get their heat treat quite right, but I've never seen a company out and out lie about what steel they used. I know that Weed Knife Company doesn't, because I was adamant that I wanted 20 CV, and everything I did on that would indicate to me that it is every bit the 20 CV M390 that I would have gotten from any other knife company. So I don't know. I don't know who it is, but I'm going to tell you right now, I trust Reddit about as much as I trust the homeless guy at the trolley station. The things that people put up on Reddit, half the time, I trust asking a homeless guy digging through a trash can more than it would take stock in what somebody on Reddit said. Here's one for you. There was a whole group of knife guys that, were complaining about Rockwell and did all this testing and things, and then came out and threw it out there that Lion Steel was doing this and other companies were doing this. And then when they send it out for independent testing, instead of using their guy that was doing it, it turns out that they were wrong. So I was like, and I mean, I had people go into that live feed and threaten my daughter. They were so upset with me that I would call out and say that maybe some guy that works somewhere that has a Rockwell tester that's not allowed to do it during his working hours, so he does it after work, until I see his certifications and things like that. I don't know. And I mentioned, and I said, for all I know, he could be the night janitor. And everybody lost their shit. It was like, you called him the night janitor? I was like, no. I just said, for all the information I've been provided without certifications and things like that, he could be. I did not fumble on that. I'm telling you, I still stand by everything I said about the Joe X situation. Lone Star Tallboy, you can say that all you want. I will never disagree with that because regardless of what was happening, he was also getting reported on YouTube by fanboys. And I know this for a fact, and you know why? Because Scab and I talked to him personally, and there was only one facet of it that really led to it. But there also was enough going on his YouTube channel that he was having problems with that as well. So I still stand by everything I said, and that's why that video is still up. So disagree with me all you want. You're allowed to. But I'm telling you right now, having spoke to both of them, I didn't prove your point. I'm just saying, like, you are that stubborn. Like, if you don't like Joe, that's fine. I'm not asking you to. I'm just telling you, I spoke to him, and half of the problem was hate that he was getting from fanboys. So it's not just one thing. It wasn't just one thing that led to that. It was a crescendo effect. What's so important about certification using a Rockwell tester? It's not so much that you need a certification for it. It's the proper way to do it, and there's an ASTM for proper testing. There's a specific way to do it, and just because you've seen somebody use the machine, and you used the machine and you got some readings, that doesn't mean that you got an accurate reading. And let me explain why. A lot of knives are heat-treated post-heat treat grind in production knives. Let me explain this. When I would make a knife, what was that? Where was it? Oh, so when I would make a knife, let's say we're talking about one of my custom knives, I would heat treat pre-grind for two reasons. I would not do any pre-grinds because it adds some problems with the heat treat, and you can have some problems where, like, if you've ground it, you can have cracking or warping in the thinner areas. The other reason is when you quench it, the thinner areas are going to harden quicker, so you're not going to get the same reading across. So I would cut out the blank and I would leave it all the same thickness. I would do the heat treat and then the hardening and tempering, and then do the bevels. Production knives typically aren't done like that. This knife goes into the oven like this, and then they come out for some finishing and things. But usually they're pretty much ground, right? They're pretty much ready to go because it makes it easier. Pre-heat treat grinding steel is easier. Steel gets really, really hard, hence the hardening process. So if you take a knife that has a production heat treat and you test it here versus here, you're going to get a different reading because of the way the blade thickness was at quench, right? Thinner materials cool down faster, you get a harder steel, you might get softer on the spine. To follow an ASTM on how to test for materials, there's I think it's a standard of, for smaller parts, 10 spots as point of reference, averaged across the entire part. For larger pieces, 100, and then average it across. So you grind with a lot of coolant, not to introduce heat. So there's ways to do it. Navy SEAL 2K, there's a lot of ways to do it. On really coarse belts, most of your heat's getting transferred to the sparks and chips that are coming off. You're not getting a lot of friction. As you go up in grit, you're also going to slow your speed down so that you're not getting as much friction. And I didn't have like spray coolant, but because I was hand grinding, if that got hot enough that it felt hot to the touch, because I'm touching, if you guys ever watched a video of me grinding knives, this hand was on here and there was so many blisters and things on my fingers from the sparks. I would put my thumb on this and I'd put my finger here underneath the blade and I'd get a lot of sparks coming down on my hands. So I would dip it really, really regularly just to wick away the temperature. It was a dip pan. I have used the wet grinds, like like spray coolant or misting and things like. But as long as you're cognizant of, you can go full speed at a really coarse belt, then you can, as you get into a finer grit where you've got more contact, like there's smaller abrasives, you slow your speed down. And when I would do a 220 grit finish, like I could watch the seam of that belt go through. I was like almost as slow as you can go. Some steels are much more prone to losing their temp. Typically, something you temper at a lower speed is going to be much more susceptible to getting burnt. Case in point, temper on the knife I made for my daughter that was 1095, right? 1095, temper on that was 400 degrees. Temper on this is 1,000. There's a lot of heat that you can add to this before you get to 1,000 degrees. Well, Lance, you can go. You're dismissed. Lance, this is not an airport. You do not have to announce your departure. If you're not interested, then go. Lots of other like weird teeny bopper anime gaming podcasts you can watch. But at any rate, like I said, when I would heat treat 20 CV, it was 2,200 degrees, then plate quench, and then 2 hours at 1,000 degrees, let it reach normal temperature, another 2 hours at 1,000 degrees. You can do a lot of grinding on something without having to worry about. Now, what you have to worry about is like when you're doing like edge grinding, you will lose, you got to watch and make sure you don't overheat the very edge and burn out that edge. But the thing was, when I would do it, I would use a belt and do a quick edge just to lay up a burr to take off enough material for me to hand sharpen my knives. So different steels have different thresholds of heat. Is carbon fiber as durable as G10? It depends on what you're doing with it. Carbon fiber, tensile strength for most purposes is above steel. So, I mean, they're both composites. What knife is that? This was my design that I did called the Stonefish. This is the production version of a custom knife that I made and designed when I was still making custom knives before my shoulder decided that it just didn't want to work with me anymore. Money is no object. What's my holy grail of knives? Ooh, that's a good one. I know what it is. It's a dagger, and I can't think of the guy's name that does it. And he makes insane Damascus steel. Yeah, it's full tank. I can't think of it now. He's made swords and things like this. And he's bald dude, knife maker. Just to have one, if money was no option, that's probably what it would be. And I can't think of his name off the top of my head. Custom from Bob Truzzola. I mean, you can get those. Those are available. I'm talking, this is something that there's only ever one of. Where did I put the sheath for this? There we go. Censorship drama. This is the way. No, it's not. It's just that this is my channel, and if you're going to come in and say stuff that is going to make it unfun for everyone here, then I just basically I'm going to take care of it. It's not so much that this is a freedom of speech area. You're in my living room, and I've invited you there, and I would ask that you act appropriate. That's all I'm asking. Like, everyone here is my guest, and I'm the host, and there's just things that I personally don't want to have here. Is that your knife? Is that knife you're holding for sale? I don't know if they still make these. This is not This is the production prototype. This one is not for sale because this is the only one of this knife that I own, even though I made a couple hundred of them. Stan Wilson non-flipper. I can't think, like, here's the thing. I pretty much have the knives that I want. You know what I mean? I pretty much have the knives that I want. I could go without buying another knife. I really could. I've hit my grails. The last knife that I bought, well, the last two knives that I bought were these. Always wanted one, found one, steel, micarta, crewware steel, micarta. Found exactly what I wanted. I see you, Dave's Ghost. I'll get to it. This was the last knife that I just purchased, and this is the best knife I've ever bought. So if I can, like I'm saying, like if I don't buy another knife, I could easily say I went out on a high note. It's the best knife I've ever bought. This tops every knife I've ever owned, and that should say a lot. I got a Grimstone Norseman. I've got several knives. I have this hand-carved Ferrum Forge 1200 Ed. Never buy a clone. Don't even say that. That's garbage. Buying a clone is stealing someone else's intellectual property. Like, if you buy a clone knife, there's some exceptions. Like, I have a couple movie knives that are like direct duplicates of a Lyle, and I have one that's a Jack Crane duplicate, but they're movie prop replica knives. So they're replica knives from that. So they don't have the brand markings. Not like it's marked as a Lyle. It's not marked as a Crane. So this one, I don't think they do. Not yet. But if you buy a clone, they're just always trash. This is probably one of the best knives you'll ever see in your lifetime. And it's incredible. I'm not a balisong guy. I do not have a balisong, the Templar. If you want to see some really, really good balisongs, my buddy Tino and I are working on, so you guys saw the big, long, like hour-long thing where we just looked at all the knives in his case, right? The thing is, we're going to do like a breakdown of everything. He has like a $60,000 knife, just folding knives, $60,000, not counting the like $4,000 worth of knives that were on the top of his thing. So if you watch that video, at any rate, he has a lot of balisongs. We're going to do a in-depth view of his collection, real up close and stuff like that. That was just us just going through everything. Can I show the details on those carved scales? I can. You guys get a shot of the jungle first. My wife went crazy with plants in the house. So these are, let me get my reading glasses so I can make sure this is. So all hand carved on the back, Ferrum Forge Knife Works logo, hand carved and textured. Yes, that video is on my channel. And then this is a brass inlay that then was all hand carved. I have another knife that was all hand carved by Elliot. Those are all hand carved scales that were done with a Dremel and stuff like that. Yeah, it's a xenomorph, and it was specifically done that way because the guys that commissioned this knife was a gift. It was commissioned from Elliot to be done specifically for me. And so Elliot and the guys know that I love his xenomorph style stuff that he does that's the Giger-esque. And so that's what he went with on this for me. So it definitely is something like it would be from the Alien movies. And I absolutely love it. Let's see here. Microtech MSI is a good, and I don't like the MSI. I had one, and I never did a video about it. And the reason was everything, like I do videos that are based on my opinion a lot. And a lot of times I find good things about the knife and I find bad things about the knife. The problem I had with the MSI was it was just a knife that I didn't like. And it just was nothing wrong with the knife. It just was, there was nothing, like, I just couldn't, in good conscience, put out a video about it. And it is kind of biased because I am friends with Tony Marfione. And so I was like, I don't like doing a negative review if there's really nothing wrong with the knife. Like if it's a shitty knife and it's got blade play and it's got stuff wrong with it, yeah, I'll do a video. But there was nothing wrong. Brandon, I'll get with that. I'll get with you on that in a second. There was nothing wrong with the knife. I just didn't like it. And so I did not ever release the video. And I was afraid, because it was the first of the ram locks that I got, and I was afraid that it was going, that it was going to be like, I just wasn't going to like the ram lock knives. And I got the stitch, and I liked the stitch, but I liked the frame lock stitch a lot better than I liked the ram lock stitch. Oh shit, my wife's home. I'm gonna have to clean. She's gonna be pissed that all this is in here. But I got this knife and it's great. And as far as the finish, I think that their stone wash is incredible and it holds up very, very well. So with that being said, I do have to end this because my wife's home and I'm in her living room. And I was told a long time ago, no more knives in the house. There's a lot of knives in the house right now. So guys, if you dropped a super chat, thank you. If you don't follow the channel, follow the channel. Go check out all of my videos. There's over 3,000 videos on this channel. I'm gonna try, and as soon as my shoulder is feeling better, I'm gonna try and do another sharpening live and things like that. So guys, that's it. I'll talk to you later. I help my wife carry stuff in the house. Bye.